Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't settle.
That's right.
Settling is a tricky subject, isn't it?
It is.
Because sometimes in a relationship, you have to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
There have to be some compromises, right? Because you're not going to get what you want all the time, and they're not going to get what they want all the time. But then you got to look at settling. Like, are you settling for something significantly less than what you're going to be happy with?
Exactly.
And trying to understand that can be difficult at times. Now, we often talk about, after a breakup, should you stay friends with an ex? Our opinion is no. If you want to be romantically involved with somebody, I don't think you should try and be friends with them, because it will be too painful, right? You're going to be settling for less than what you're looking for, and it's going to hurt.
And you're also not being your authentic self. You
Yeah.
have to be true to what you really want, how you see the direction of the relationship going. And by you settling for friendship, you're not being real with yourself, and other people can sense that.
Yeah. I feel like some coaches will tell you to settle for friendship, but I think it's kind of manipulative. And I think it puts you in a position of weakness and not for strength, right? Of course, that's a personal decision if you want to settle for being friends, but we wouldn't recommend it. We've seen many people over the years try it, and they're just unhappy. I mean, then you have to listen to them talk about their new partner, their new boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and how excited and happy they are. Oh, man, that's awful.
And it's really emotionally challenging. We find that in these situations, the person who has been dumped ends up reiterating, hey, I have feelings. Are you ready now? Are you ready now? And it just leads to a life of disappointment.
Yeah. And you're going to secretly be wanting to be with them and pretending to be their friend when it's not really what you want.
Right.
But there are different kinds of settling too, right? And so we're going to see a different kind of example of settling in this situation. So let's get into this email coaching, because I think you're going to see some different aspects that I don't think we get to cover very often, okay? So they said, Dear Craig, thank you so much for all your help and advice you give in your videos. My ex-boyfriend Jeremy and I were together for 6 years, living together for 5. When we met in 2015, I was 28 and he was 22. Okay, so he's pretty young, and remember that was in 2015. Unlike previous relationships, this one felt so easy, so comfortable. No game playing, no drama. Well, a few non-serious arguments over the years, but we seemed to always overcome them, and we went through a lot together. His mom remarried. He once said that he wouldn't have been able to get through the wedding day without me. When my father died, he was kind, loving, and supportive. He said we were a team and would get through anything together. So all this sounds so good, right?
Yeah, and these are major moments in someone's life. Grief like that, losing a parent. So the fact that they were able to be supportive of each other is a huge green flag.
Yep. Yeah, it all looks good so far, right? Except he was a little bit young when they started dating. The pandemic brought out some big changes. He won a big course that would enable him to do his dream job. I'll leave that ambiguous. In the spring, the course was canceled because of COVID, and he was unemployed for several months. During this time, a friend of his, who wasn't even 30, passed from COVID. I knew he was hurting, and I tried to support him. He would open up to me, but not once did he ever say he was unhappy with me or he felt like we had any problems. Okay, so losing a friend like that, I don't know how close he was, but that might have caused him to really struggle with grief, maybe even depression. It's tough to lose somebody. Not only that, but this course that would have enabled him to do his dream job got canceled. So that would have had a big impact on his self-worth, his self-esteem, his thinking about where he, because guys can be like, well, this is going to affect my future. How I can't provide for her. They don't feel good about themselves as a man. You know, a lot of guys will get stuck like that, right? He broke up with me in the spring of 2021. He said I was his best friend. There was no one closer in the world to him. He told me he felt he wasn't himself anymore, that he'd lost his confidence and didn't feel like he could be in a relationship at all. Okay, so that kind of makes me think what I was just feeling about losing the opportunity for that course.
Right.
As a man, not feeling confident about his future, maybe still depressed about losing the friend.
And there's something different about losing somebody who's around your age. It makes you face your own mortality in a different way. You know, we all have that idea in the back of our heads that we know our parents are going to pass away at some point. We know our grandparents are going to pass away at some point.
Yeah.
And even those losses might have been a shock and completely unexpected. But the fact that it had been from COVID, somebody who is younger than 30, you know, it makes it real that we can all lose our lives at any moment.
Yeah.
You know, so it really can change your perspective. So dealing with that right after also this, you know, big course not going through, it seemed like it was a combination of stressors.
And
maybe,
being unemployed, yeah.
Yeah, that maybe they hadn't seen before, where maybe it was, you know, them dealing with one issue at a time. This just happened to be many things at the same time.
Yep. I think it really overwhelmed him. Since the breakup, he was messaging me and we were seeing each other frequently for almost 18 months.
It's a long time.
Yeah. And this is why I'm talking about the settling today. 18 months. It sounds like it was I don't want to say friends with benefits, a situationship, whatever, hanging out, hooking up for 18 months. Now, look, if somebody wants to do that, you know, after a breakup to try and reattract the person and see how it goes, sure, I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you don't feel used by the person. But at this point, I think she's really putting her own needs aside for a very long time. I think she tolerated this way too long, and he kind of maybe saw her in a different light maybe once it kind of got past like that 5 or 6 month mark. Like, now you're not this person that I could see marrying. You're just like, oh, you're this person that's there for me I can hook up with. I think she should have set some boundaries and said, I can't continue this at least a year ago.
Right. I'm really curious as to what that really meant, seeing each other frequently. Did they also have times where they would hang out and not have sex? We imply sex, but she didn't outright state that. So
Yeah.
I just need more information to really see what their relationship looks like at this point.
Well, she did send a quick follow-up email that didn't, because I had mentioned, were you guys being intimate, and she didn't say they hadn't been, so I assume that they have.
Yeah.
She says, I didn't pressure him about getting back together. I just wanted to support him. In the fall, I went out of the country by myself. He messaged me every day, even told me he was looking for flights to come join me.
Oh,
I
wow.
see this happen a lot when people go on vacation. Now all of a sudden they're afraid of losing you. Then you come back and it's like, wait, why are you ghosting me? I was gone and you couldn't get
Right.
enough. Now here I am and you're not even reaching out. I see that a lot. He was saying that he wished he was there with her. When I got back, though, I realized I was hearing from him less and less. I knew if he wasn't messaging me, he was getting that support from somebody else. So I think there's some good insight there. I think she knew something was up.
Yeah, and we're also seeing some signs of avoidant behavior on his end. The fact that when she's farther away geographically, now suddenly he can be emotionally closer, but when she is in close proximity, now he's not messaging her and not wanting to have that conversation.
Yep.
It really makes me wonder. A lot of times we do hear couples that have said, oh, our relationship's great, you know, we never got in any fights, we never had any arguments. But sometimes what that looks like is one person really suppressing their own feelings, suppressing things that are wrong. What makes a relationship satisfying or not isn't the presence or absence of conflict, but more so how you deal with things, how you talk about things. It seems like they've been through really hard times together and have been able
6
to
years.
work
Yeah.
through it.
Long time.
But this issue in particular, he ended the relationship, and I wonder if a part of that was, I need to figure this issue out by myself. This is too much all at once, and I can't drag you into this.
Yeah, I think she was settling for way less than what she was hoping for because she was trying to be supportive. But I think it went on too long, and he just took advantage of it and took her for granted.
And also thinking about what he said there during the breakup, that he sees her more as a friend. If that were really the case, would he really be spending 18 months still being physically intimate with her?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to question all of these things and find some consistency here.
Let's go on. I asked to meet him, and he came straight around. I said I wanted to say goodbye in person. He asked where I was going, and then got tearful when I said nowhere, but that I deserved to be treated better. Yes, I think she did. He then said that the course might be available again, and it might be back on. I was so excited for him. And then he told me he was seeing someone now. Yeah, brutal.
And this also makes me a bit suspicious. So for 18 months, you're telling me that he hadn't been branching out, dating other people. Now, you guys can do what you want with your life, and you guys have the right to take whatever risks that you want to. But in situations like this, where exes are hooking up after a breakup, most of the time, they're not telling each other the other people that they're involved with. So what happens here is not only are you putting your sexual health at risk, but also emotionally speaking, you don't know whether to put your heart on your sleeve here with your ex. You don't know whether to continue investing in these other relationships. It just gets really messy when people aren't communicating.
Yeah, I think he was halfway investing in her, but also seeing what else was out there.
And a lot of the times in these situations, there's a lot of lies by omission.
Yeah.
What are you doing Friday night? Hanging out with friends. Now, is that really being truthful? Is that really being fair to the other person? Regardless of if they're your partner, your friends with benefits, whatever it is. These are things that you guys have to sort out for yourselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. She says, I was devastated all over again. I said goodbye and wished him all the best. While he stood there crying, I walked away. I removed him from Instagram so he couldn't see my profile. I deactivated my Facebook and I went no contact. Though I only found your YouTube videos the last few days. I've heard nothing from him, but the day before it was my birthday, I saw he had looked at my Instagram stories through another profile he had, which I had forgotten about. Sneaky, sneaky. Those exes are always creating the fake profiles.
Or it's always like their dog's Instagram or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or their cat's Instagram.
It's so true. I've now removed that one too. I had a moment of weakness, found the new girl he is seeing, and he's all over her Instagram stories. I feel so used and stupid. What has he been thinking? Was he just using me? All right, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts about this. I think it's sad that this all emerged from a major loss that he had. It makes me wonder, had he been able to grieve that? Why were there issues within their relationship? Why were there issues in their relationship after this major loss? What was being unaddressed? What wasn't being talked about there?
Why weren't they getting back together? Yeah.
Exactly. The other thing that, we do want to look back at too is his age. He is younger, and it seems like they got together when they were quite young. This is a long relationship, so the majority of his 20s, his mid-20s, he's been with her.
Yep.
So there is that developmental piece, which we do talk about quite often. That could also be curiosity about the world. Of course, he's not going about it in the most ethical ways, but, that could be some of the reasoning behind that too.
I think she made it a little too easy for him in the sense he was getting what he wanted with the ability to go off and do whatever he wanted on top of that. In other words, he took for granted. He took her for granted that he could be with her, hook up with her. Meanwhile, casually go out with anybody else he wants. And that would be a lot easier for him to date new people because he's got her as a backup, right? So he's not feeling the pressure of being alone and can casually date who he wants and see how it goes. Well, I'll just hook up with her while I kind of look to see what else is better. So we don't want you to feel used like she's feeling here. And that's why we say, you know, if you want to be intimate with the person after a breakup, that can be something that sparks it up again. But I think because this continued for so long, 18 months, he took that for granted and she almost became like, you know, a friends with benefits that you don't really see as somebody you want to be in a long-term relationship with, as opposed to before this person that he probably thought he was going to marry.
Exactly. And the huge problem that I have with his behavior specifically is him not telling her this information beforehand does not give her all the information that she needs to properly consent. Had she known that he was dating or seeing somebody else, would she still be as willing to go over, see him, sleep with him, etc.? Maybe, but also maybe not. He didn't allow her that option to make a choice. And I also wonder in the situation, and I can feel myself almost getting angry about this, would this information have come out had she not stood up for herself?
Yeah, exactly. How much longer would he have kept this going? By the way, I'm engaged.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like
the moment that she's finally like, hey, what's going on here? This is not okay with me. It's not working. He's like, by the way, I've been seeing somebody.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's infuriating because he could have told her the truth, but he made it easy on himself to continue exploring new people and seeing when that went well to, okay, you're going to break up with me? Okay, so by the way, I'm dating somebody. So, you know, it was very selfish of him to act like that because he made it easy for himself and he didn't give her the information to really make decisions for herself. She thought she was being patient and understanding, but really he was just taking advantage of her and her kindness.
And I think it's really understandable that you would feel a wide range of emotions after this. Feeling used. I could see why you would feel used.
Yep.
You know, it does seem like he really did take you for granted here. Anger is another really important emotion in this equation. You know, he did something that violated your trust, in my opinion.
Yep.
And just the way he treated you in these last 18 months, you know, I think you do have a right to be angry. And I think those feelings can really help you to protect yourself. I really think it was those feelings of frustration and anger that brought you to standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
You know, welcome all of them, embrace all of them. But I also think moving forward, this is a really big lesson about consent, about, you know, clear communication, about where you see your relationship going, and also, you know, not being afraid to be direct about where things are.
Yeah. So for all of you listening, not just her, you know, you want to consider what you're going to allow your ex to do. I wouldn't suggest any of you allow somebody to use you or take you for granted or take advantage of you just because, you know, you're afraid they won't come back any other way. You know, you want to respect yourself in how you're navigating and moving forward. If you feel like the person genuinely still has feelings for you and they care about you and they're trying to work it out with you, then okay, you know, I wouldn't say being intimate with them is bad. But if you feel like they're just taking you for granted, using you while they can move along, and you're just making life easy for them to move forward, I wouldn't allow that to happen. I mean, don't beat yourself up here. You thought you were being caring and kind. It was him that wasn't being authentic and honest with you, and him that was taking advantage of you. And, you know, that's messed up. And if he does come back again, I would want answers. I would be like, look, I need to understand what was going on here. How long were you dating other people? How long of us hooking up? Were you seeing other people? Were you having unprotected sex with other people while we were being intimate? I don't know if they probably were having unprotected sex. I mean, they were together 6 years. So probably. So how long was this going on? And you need to get some real honest answers, and you better feel like he's being transparent and authentic before you take him back.
Exactly. We really want to empower you to ask those questions. I know sometimes when we are in that state where we feel a bit powerless, that, you know, our ex dumped us, we feel like we don't have a right to ask these questions. In this situation, the way he violated your trust, you absolutely do. And these are answers that you need to know, you know, thinking about your own health and safety. So I can't emphasize enough how important that feeling of anger is to protect yourself. Also, I wanted to address that word used really quickly, because it does have that implication that you're of lesser value or something like that. I want to be really clear. However he treated you does not determine your worth. You know, it seems like for those past 6 years that you were a supportive partner. It seems like even during this time of this great loss that he was super disappointed with, you know, this course and his job, where his career was going, that you were there and willing to work things out. I really do think that you stayed those 18 months with the hopes of having that type of relationship again. That's reflective of you. That's reflective of your character. So I just wanted to point that out, that I know that we're kind of implying, okay, he took you for granted and all of these things, but that means nothing about you.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, it shows that how caring you are and how much you would do to make a relationship work with somebody that you care about. And that's a good quality, not bad. You know, if he takes advantage of you being caring or kind, that's on him, not on you. So please don't feel stupid for trying to care about somebody that you love. I mean, obviously, I think the thing that you really want to consider is your own needs and wants. And I would tell him from the get-go, if he reaches out to you, look, I spent 18 months in that situation. Unless you're really wanting to repair this with me, I have to move forward. That's what I would do at this point.
Exactly.
Okay, tough situation, right? Obviously, you hate to hear somebody feeling bad about this. But this is, you know, again, part of the reasons that we say don't settle for less. Because afterwards, you might not feel too good about it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful for you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you're ready.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.